shot by a CTV viewer on his cell phone as he drove by the area. Now, here's where it happened. Bolton is northwest of Toronto on Highway 50. The explosion started around 7:30 at Caledon Propane on the west side of town on Potomac Court near King Street and Humber Station Road. It's an industrial area, but it sits very close to a subdivision just west of the site.
CTV's John Musselman is now in the chopper above the area. And John, you were on the ground earlier talking to people.
Yeah, that's right, Christine. We talked to residents this morning who say their home shook when they heard this huge explosion this morning. They said even the furniture in the house was shaking. That's how loud it was. We'll just take you back to the scene now. Down on the ground, you can see the debris from where this explosion happened. What you're looking at is a partial part of the building that is now completely destroyed by this fire. There's also a catering truck. Now, we don't have all the details yet on this, but you'll see it there in the middle of the screen. That catering truck was also destroyed in this fire. A local business owner told me that that truck was there this morning. Those are the trucks that show up and offer coffee and drinks to employees. We'll try to figure out what happened there. Meanwhile, the residents say they were awoken by these loud bangs. They say for them it was a very, very scary situation.
A series of explosions rocked this industrial building in Bolton at 7:30 this morning. Fire crews rushed to the scene, sealing off the area on Humber Station Road near King Street. Residents living nearby say it was a frightening experience.
Well, at 7 o'clock in the morning, when I went downstairs, all I hear is big boom, and the whole house was shaking. Yeah, and then I thought, I got scared. I went outside and saw all these cops, and the cops were knocking on our doors. It was scary.
Were you scared?
Yeah, I was scared.
What happened next?
We had to gather our bags and get outside.
There was a lot of explosions happening, and really OPP didn't give us much chance to have a look and see what was happening. They were at our door and kicked us out of the area.
Okay, what'd you do inside the house? Did you have any idea what was happening?
No, the explosions alone were vibrating the walls inside the house and the furniture and everything else. And by the time we knew it, OPP was knocking at our door and saying we have to evacuate the area immediately.
Fire officials say one person suffered minor injuries in the explosion. It happened at a business called Caledon Propane. In this video, you can see dozens of propane tanks behind the property. This man was phoning his parents who live nearby, but he couldn't get through.
Are you concerned? Of course, yeah. I gotta call them right now. No, I haven't. I just got here minutes ago.
There was some concern initially when the police officers arrived on scene. They did observe small explosions, so immediately going into action and evacuating the area.
Police closed off area roads. The fire department used nearby fire hydrants to resupply tanker trucks to rush the water back to the scene.
And we can tell you that the fire is now under control. Firefighters and police have still sealed off the area. We'll go back down on the ground one more time. You can see all the debris. The fire marshal's office is expected to be on the scene here to try to determine what happened and why all of these things exploded. Now, I just want to give you a sense, too, from the fire scene itself. It's in an industrial park, but we'll show you why these residents were evacuated. I'll just ask Ted to pan over here. There's a new subdivision. It's only been there about 4 years. Those were the residents that were woken up this morning about 9:30 by this explosion, police telling them to get out. My colleague, Roger Peterson, was talking to some of these folks. I'll send it down to him now at the community center in Bolton. Roger?
All right, thanks very much, John. And this community center is where the evacuees were allowed to come to try and warm up when they had to flee this morning when those explosions started rattling their houses at around 7 this morning.
This is at least a 5-alarm place.
So those are propane tanks going off right then?
Well, I felt the shock wave and a little bit of the heat of the fire, too.
That's probably about 1,000.
That's close.
Yeah.
Keith Thompson and other employees of Permacon Concrete had just started work when the catering truck caught fire as it filled up at the propane station less than 100 meters away. Joe Barbosa thought everything was under control with the fire.
It was a rush type of thing. It felt like you were in the movies, to be honest with you. So, yeah, it was an ordeal that, an experience that they'll never forget, to be honest with you.
It wasn't just workers at surrounding companies who had to flee. Area residents like Ozzy Laver, who lives a half-kilometer away, were also awakened by the explosions.
No, I just sat there, stood there on the deck and watched the flames and the balls of fire go, watched the fireworks.
In all, about 24 homes were evacuated. About 20 people took advantage of the town's offer to stay warm at the community center, although one man refused to leave the love of his life behind at the scene.
So what did the police say to you when you said I gotta go get my car?
They weren't happy, but I told them I wasn't taking no for an answer, and I ran off and got my car.
Now, it was an '88 Mustang, so I understand why he wanted to go back. In total, about 100 people probably had to leave their homes or the companies. Many of the companies hadn't started yet, so not a lot of people in that surrounding area, but that one company, there was about 15, 16 people who were working, so they did have to flee. Came here, and the boss actually took them out for brunch. So not a bad Wednesday morning, I guess, for some of those people. It could have been, obviously, they using that cliche, could have been a lot worse. And for now, for an update, we'll send you back up to John in the helicopter. John?
Thanks, Roger. We'll just recap again. This explosion happened at about 7:30 this morning. We were told a number of explosions. I also talked to some residents in that neighborhood that were evacuated. One of the kids were on kids, so they were part of this excitement. The little girl told me that she heard the explosion, ran and woke up her parents, and they cleared out when the police arrived. Once again, the fire marshal is on the scene. We're still trying to determine how this all happened. It could be a couple of days. The area is still sealed off, and we did see fire crews dousing some hot spots here, but as you can see from this picture from the air, there's still quite a bit of destruction. The back part of that building is just totally destroyed by this fire. That's the latest from the scene. If we have any updates, we'll come back to you later in the show. Reporting live from the chopper, I'm John Musselman. I'll send it back down to you in the studio, Christine.
Thanks, John. And luckily, no serious injuries. Again, the cause of this blast is still under investigation. John will continue working on this story all afternoon and bring you more tonight on the CTV News at 6.